participant and attendance audience in this session. This session is introduced by Colgis, entitled Intellectual Discourse. We intend to make this session as a way to disseminate knowledge and information from our expert in Colgis for the benefit of all. So today, this morning, we have invited a professor on political science, Professor Dr. Muhammad Azizuddin bin Muhammad Sani, to talk on a title that we think very relevant now. Before we commence with the session, we recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. My name is Nurul Hilal Mat Dahlan. I'm Assistant Vice Chancellor for Colgis UUM. Today, we are fortunate to have a speaker, Professor Dr. Muhammad Azizuddin Muhammad Sani, a political scientist that who we invited to talk on a topic that very relevant nowadays, entitled Forthcoming GE15, General Election 15, where is Malaysia heading to? This topic we think is timely, and people are waiting to know what would Malaysia be? What would Malaysia be and will be with regard to General Election 15, GE15? So nowadays we see there are many political parties fragmented and various political parties, and that's also mean many things. Maybe these political parties will merge to become a bigger party, or they may scattered and separated until the general election 15. And if there would be an outcome to the general 15, maybe there is no dominant political party, and the government will consist of mixed political parties, and it's become a mixed government. Secondly, what would happen if a mixed government were to be formed later? It may affect the policy, it may affect the approaches in dealing with many issues in Malaysia. And I hope that the explanation that will be given by Professor Dr. Muhammad Azizuddin will give us some clarification regarding the issues relating to general election 15. I would like to share about his expertise. He graduated from UKM with bachelor degree on political science and history. He obtained his master also from UKM on science politics, and finally his PhD also on politics and international relations from Kiel University. Without further ado, I would like to call upon Professor Azizuddin to share his observation and knowledge on this topic. Professor Dr. Muhammad Azizuddin Muhammad Sani with the topic Forthcoming GE15, Where is Malaysia heading to?
Okay, hopefully you all can hear me clearly over there. Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Hilal, for explaining some details about the talk that I'm going to deliver today. And also, I want to express my gratitude to him as well for inviting me and prepare this platform for me to share some probably knowledge or my understandings about the current situation with regard to our Malaysian politics and also what's to expect in the next coming election. So thank you very much, Colgis, and thank you very much for Hila for inviting me. And before I begin my discussion about this topic, I think I want to express my condolences to the late Prof. Hamidin. I think probably many of you know he passed away yesterday. He's a brilliant political analyst and also historian in African studies. So sometimes I also have agreed to disagree with him, in several aspects. But we always complement each other and also understand each other in our research. And he's truly a field research expert. So that's why whatever he say about Malaysian politics, I think we have to give certain credit to him. But sadly, he passed away yesterday. So hopefully, meaning that we are losing one of the best, political analysts in Malaysia. So, okay, the discussion that I want to do today, I think probably I will do some explanation about particularly the academic aspect, the theoretical aspect of Malaysian politics, and also particularly with regard to the 15 generation. Because I don't want to really just talk politics without any substance and foundation in order to explain about the current situation. I want to give compared to talk in the coffee shop. I want to give certain different aspect, which I think if you don't understand, you can probably express to me later. Ask me a question with regard to this. But for me, just to you know, to I think probably I don't want to talk much. Probably the most I think 15 minutes to 20 minutes. But the rest I think I will open for any question. Probably you need to probably anything you can ask me with regard to current situation in Malaysian politics. Okay. When Wahila asked me what topic that I want to talk for today, I think straight away I respond to him saying, okay, I want to talk about GE15 because that's the most question that I got, since I don't know, since few months ago, and it also happened that I also conducting research right now about GE15. I think I also put the link in my chat. I think you have to access the chat box. There's a link that I put there. You also can answer the question in the questionnaires. And also can contribute also to this research because it's a nationwide research that I conducted right now. And the most question that I got from everybody actually, when is the election? That's the most the most question that I got. To answer to that question, actually, I also don't know when is going to be the next
Now the
election.
target line halfway through our finish.
And I also don't know when is the next election. Even I asked somebody who used to be very close to Prime Minister. Recently, I met Isham Jalil. Isham Jalil is the fighting bull for Barisan Nasional and also UMNO. So I asked him, when is the next election? He also say that he doesn't know. In fact, when he was a special officer to the Prime Minister, the previous Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Najib, he also didn't know until the end, until the close to the announcement of the dissolution of Parliament. Then he know. So meaning that it's a secret only for Prime Minister because he's got the prerogative to call for the next election. But the only thing that we can do is to analyze his the Prime Minister, body language, speeches, everything. And yesterday also I heard that he said that he's going to discuss in the cabinet meeting tomorrow about the dissolution of parliament. If that happen, meaning that if the meeting is happen tomorrow, and probably there's a straight announcement after that, I think, with regard to this. But I suspect, is that it's to call for election today, for example, it's not very convenient to have the election during this period, because meaning that when the dissolution call by the Prime Minister, it doesn't mean that within 2 weeks we're going to have election, because now we pass to the election commission to decide when is the election. So it will take time as well for election commission to have a meeting and to decide. If Prime Minister call today, for example, the dissolution of parliament, then probably it's going to be next month, election. But I think Prime Minister also told us that he will think about this after the the presentation of the motion of the budget in the parliament, which are going to happen early next month. So if that the case, the earliest election probably by November. But November, as we know, that November and also December and also January is not really conducive for us to have election because of concern about flooding, everything. So that's why for me, my gut feeling saying that it's going to be next year. The earliest probably January. If not January, then probably it's going to be in May. Okay, why in May? Because we have Chinese New Year in February. We have fasting month, Ramadan in March, Hari Raya in April. Then probably the most convenient, months for the election, I think probably May. Yeah. So I don't know. That's just a speculation. Only Prime Minister knows about this. Okay, that's the most common question that I've been asked to me. Second, most question actually regarding who's going to win the next election. That's also very difficult for me to answer. It depends on the wave. I think yesterday, our vice president of UMNO and also our minister yesterday, Dato' Sri Madi Khalid, came to UTM. He also say about it depends on the wave, because now the wave, even though it's not a tsunami, but still a wave, but the wave is in favor to Barisan Nasional. So that's the current situation. But as we know, in politics, things can change very quickly. It can become small wave, then suddenly become a tsunami. It can happen. That's what happened in the last generation. The tsunami trigger only a month before, before the election. Before the election date. I mean that before the solution of parliament. So during the campaigning period, about 2 weeks plus, there's it turned into a bigger wave. So that's why it changed the government last time. But if the election next year, for example, the wave that happened today is probably we can turn into an indicator, but we cannot rely more, of the signal or any indicator right now, because sometimes at the end it changed dramatically, because the dynamic of politics in Malaysia is very fluid. I think that's clear. So that's why I think it's very interesting to observe what happened. For me, in order to understand Malaysian politics, I think we also need to look on several aspects. Meaning that we need to understand our political system first. That's first. Second one is our party system as well. And third is that also the dynamic, the mood of the people on the ground. Also we need to understand. Okay. During my studies, I've conducted several research since Melaka, state election, Johor, then until now. So I conducted research. What interesting is that when I ask people, what you want to see most happen after the election, GE15? The answer, they gave several answers. Among the top, actually, good governance, lack of performance by the ministers. That's also the current minister should be concerned about this. There's also the issue that they raise. But meaning that the performance of the government as well in general. But the first answer that I got actually stability of the government. So they want a stable government. That also the narrative they've been playing around on the ground right today. And that also trigger from my research. The answer that I got from the people. Okay, when talk about whether we in the generation after the generation we're going to have whether we're going to have a stable government. This is also very interesting aspect, which I think will be explained through three things that I mentioned just now. Okay, but if we study about democracy, the theory of democracy, everything, actually, the theory of democracy as well, actually, to explain about how to establish a stable government. If you trace the debate about democracy, even though you can refer to the classical period of scholars like John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Charles Secondant, the Montesquieu, several other. This is Western scholar. But the first scholar that very positively embraced democracy actually Al-Farabi. To read Al-Farabi, actually John Locke, Rousseau, these people I mentioned actually following Al-Farabi, arguments. Because Al-Farabi actually who study about Aristotle and Plato. Aristotle and Plato very skeptical about democracy, but Al-Farabi is the first that really embraced democracy. Because for Al-Farabi, actually, democracy can allow happiness among people because people know what they express to the Amir, to the government, actually being accepted. So that's the argument. So what the intention is that when people happy, the government stable. So because people happy what the government's performance, So the debate about democracy always about how to establish a stable government. That's why also currently we also have one theory called I forgot the name. Democratic peace theory. This is another theory. They argue that only democracy that can bring stability to the government than to others. Okay, looking into that context, actually, we already embrace democracy. That's I think is good. We embrace democracy. So meaning that the element to go towards stability is there. Okay, what kind of stability that we are looking for? Is that there's no chaos, there's no riots, everything? That things never happened in Malaysia. Even it happened in 1969, but rarely happened after that. So until today, I think relatively actually we are stable in Malaysia. But what kind of stability that we're looking for? Meaning that the stability in terms of planning a policy as a strong government. Actually, we are talking about to have a strong government that stabilize everything, including relation between ethnic groups, and also relation between, for example, like all ethnic groups that existed in Malaysia. Okay, by looking into the content, this content, we also known as a divided society because we have a multiracial makeup of the society. That I think Lim Kisiang wants to once saying about time bomb. It can explode anytime if we poorly manage the relation between any group. So meaning that trigger to instability actually the relation between ethnic group. So in looking to this context, actually there's also theory. I think I want to share this theory. Probably I can share this. Open first. Can you see the can you see? It's a bit small. I think hopefully I can make zoom to fit. Okay. Okay. In explaining about Malaysian context, how we become stable. Actually, there are two theories. One is called consociationalism. The other one is centripetalism. Okay, Malaysia. If you listen to many scholars when discuss about stability in Malaysia. Actually, they always refer to consociationalism. Difficult to pronounce it. Consociationalism. However, even though we follow the model, which is produced by Aaron Lipite, but actually we're not following fully of the model. For example, like in terms of institution, according to this theory, the electoral system that need to be established actually proportional representation, PR system. But as we know, the Malaysian system actually, first past the post, or majority, based on majority, simple majority aspect, meaning that one vote, one seat can enough to form a government and so win the election, like that. We follow federalism, but minority veto we don't practice. But grand coalition, yes, we have through a model of Barisan Nasional. So what we have actually a modified kind of constitutionalism in Malaysia that brings stability to the government. Okay, however, there's another theory called centripetalism. Okay, centripetalism agree to the aspect of first past the post practices, but they encourage to a concept of multiracial form of parties, which also existed in Malaysia, but not fully. Because Malaysia is a bit unique. Even though we can say Barisan Nasional actually a multi-party coalition, practicing multi-party coalition system, but there's also individual party inside the Barisan Nasional. So that's why I think last time I also argue about this. The success of Barisan Nasional actually, when they move from a right movement, meaning that favoring issue of race, religion, everything, to a central movement when they be it Barisan Nasional. Can you see? UMNO is for example, UMNO is a Malay-based, race-based party. The agenda is always on the right, favoring race-based politics. But when it comes to Barisan Nasional, they become centered because they have to compromise, have a consensus in decision making. So that's I think makes Barisan Nasional model is so successful before, not today so successful before. But central capitalism is a new model introduced by Donald Horowitz. I used to argue with him because I disagree with central capitalism. But not fully. Partly I agree as well. But still, I think what exists actually is just a modified kind of constitutionalism. Okay, by looking this, actually the model of Barisan Nasional is based on Perikatan. But when Perikatan almost been defeated in 1969 and that trigger racial riot, so Tun Razak back then established a grand coalition, bigger, much bigger. So what important in that coalition is that there's a representation of ethnic group in that coalition. So, but when many of these parties join the Barisan Nasional, so in terms of consensus in decision making, they have to divide it into several other party, which is not really race based, but actually a multiracial base, like Gerakan, PPP, several others. But still, they are favoring the race-based party like MCA, MIC, and also UMNO in Barisan Nasional. But it's successful. But then when Barisan Nasional was defeated in 1988, what really happened? That's also make very interesting to observe, because the failure of Barisan Nasional also triggered by two bigger aspects. One bottom up, the other one top down. So first is when talk about the failure of Barisan Nasional as a model is because along the way they also introduced new economic policy actually that try to tackle poverty, re-engineering the society, and managed to produce a lot of people who are later become part of the middle class group in Malaysia. So in this middle class group, actually, if you look on theory like Abraham Maslow theory hierarchy of needs, the more progress of people, the more they demand a new things. So when this group become bigger, they are relying on the government is not there. They are become self-reliant, independent, and so on. So they want to see a new politics. So new influence coming from abroad makes them want to change. Then reformasi movement actually that one that trigger the movement to change the government starting in 1999. So that's I think the movement from the middle class that want to change the government. And this also helped by the social media. Previously, media are controlled by government, but social media that help this progress, prolong into that later on. No, you can see the trend. Presidential become so big in 2004 as they one of the biggest in history to the lost 5 states, lost two-third majority. Then suddenly they lost of popular vote. Then in 2013 and 2018 they lost altogether, to Pakatan Harapan. So, but they also triggered by another factors. Like I mentioned to you, one is bottom up and top down. Top down actually when personality play a role, particularly leaders. Clash between elites happen. That also makes Barisan Nasional weak. Anwar Ibrahim left, then later on Tun Mahathir also left. So this trigger a clash which make Barisan Nasional weak. But one thing interesting, the loss of Barisan Nasional in 2018 also triggered by Pakatan Harapan. Pakatan Harapan actually a coalition to replicate. They try to copy the model of Barisan Nasional. They try before, Bebekasan Rakyat, Angkatan Perbudakan Ummah in 1990, then Barisan Alternatif in 1999, then Pakatan Rakyat in 2013, but they failed. But when come Pakatan Harapan, they won. So, however, this model, because they're not based on modified constitutionalism, so they fail because there's just a merit or convenience in Pakatan Harapan. Even though the base actually still, you can see there's a PKR, Amanah, and also JP is there, but bersatu land. But now we have Perikatan Nasional, another one, which is I think is a very loose coalition. Even PAS also not seen that they are part of Perikatan Nasional. It seems that they also want to join Barisan Nasional if they're being given to join. So they mean that when it comes to coalition, we are uncertain. But what kind of coalition that exists today? Not really follow the exact model that existed before, which is stable before. Okay, what we can see now, that's why I say what we're heading to in the future. What we see now, actually, our party system become a multi-party coalition system. We used to have a one dominant party system until 2018, which is stable earlier, but later on become loose and weak because of several factors that I mentioned just now. Then in 2018, the collapse of Barisan Nasional, the emergence of Pakatan Harapan always being discussed as a model of two-party system, Barisan Nasional and Pakatan Harapan. When Pakatan Harapan collapsed, then you can see the emergence of several other coalitions, Perikatan Nasional, GPS, GRS, now GTA, suddenly we have a multi-coalition system. So in the multi-coalition system, where there's no dominant party in the country, even though we can see that Barisan Nasional and Pakatan Harapan is slightly more dominant, more prominent than Perikatan Nasional, GTA, everything. But don't disregard this coalition because they can put a surprise in the election as a as a kingmaker to decide who's going to form the government later on. But in the model, if you observe, many model in other countries, is the interesting part is that when it comes to election, it's difficult. Each of the party is having difficulty to win enough seat in the in the parliament, even in the state assembly. Even though now we can see Barisan Nasional have an upper hand, but probably they have probably win the most number of seats, but probably not enough to form government. They have to form a what I call a super coalition in order to form government after the election. Probably not before the election, because they also want to test their strength in the election. They know they can win more than the others, but now they are trying to win to pass the threshold. But so far, I think right now they have yet to pass that. So okay, one last point. Probably later on I will open for Q&A. One last point is which is interesting. When I go study Undi 18, people from young people from the age 18 to age 31, I ask them question. Who are you going to vote in the election? Most of them, I think over half of them say that they don't want to vote because they say that okay, they say that they're afraid to vote the government because they don't never have a big, huge responsibility to decide on the government. They will probably have a experience deciding what to answer in the research, in the questions in the exam. Probably now they're going to choose the government, so they're afraid of that. Second, actually, they argue that second because they don't like politics. That's I think probably is normal lah for the youngster. But one of the most common answer that I got, which is I think interesting, when they say that, when they ask me back, what is the difference between all these political parties? What is the difference between Barisan Nasional, Pakatan Harapan, Perikatan Nasional, and also now GTA? What is the difference between these all political parties? Then I say to them, you raise a good question, because people don't see the difference between political parties. Because if you say that political parties should talk about integrity, I think all parties talk about integrity. Talk about economy, all parties talk about economy. So what is different between these two? So if we compare this to political party in UK, for example, in US, even in Australia, there's clearly distinction between political party based on ideology. There's a conservative, liberal, democrat, for example, Labour, socialist. Even last time, so in UK, produce the Tony Blair produce new Labour, suddenly become more liberal than liberal democrat. And then I think we also not sure whether they are still socialist or not. But in Malaysia, because our politics based on race, there is no distinction in ideology. For example, like okay, you can argue, PAS is Islamist party. Is Islam is ideology? I don't think so. And even PAS now is more Malay centric than UMNO, if you observe. In fact, UMNO become part of, because they argue on Malay Islamism. So meaning they are also more like PAS than before, And Pakatan, Pakatan, for example, UMNO argue about progressive aspect. PKR also talk about the progressive aspect of their movement compared to more orthodox like PAS, for example, the argument. But if you look on them, they are very nationalist as well. Similar to PAS, UMNO, even GTA's Tun Mandi Pejuang is also very nationalist. So there's no clear actually distinction in ideology in Malaysian politics. That makes people confused to vote, particularly the fence sitter. The hardcore, no problem. If they like one party, that one party, then they will vote. If they like candidates, they will vote. But for fence sitter, they are in dilemma to decide. So that's why a political party, in order to win Malaysia, they have to build their image, the brand differently to the other party. How they do it, I don't know, but they have to do in order to pinch the fence sitter to vote for him, because they know that the margin that they win, I think probably is very small. So that's why they need whatever they get, particularly for those who are undecided yet, to vote for them. If not, then they have difficulties because the number of hardcore voters, the biggest now is UMNO. I think roughly not all constituency, but roughly around 20%. So they rely on 20% of the hardcore supporter to help them to vote. But looking in the happen in 2018, many also hardcore voter vote for the opposite, for PAS or other parties, because they're angry about some decision in the party. So that's something very interesting aspect of the the election. So my conclusion is that I still believe that we're going to form a stable government, but we also need to realize that the reality of Malaysian politics probably different than what we used to have before. Meaning that we expect there's something unexpected in the general election, which we don't know when. But I think it makes for people like me very to see this very interesting, because it will move Malaysian politics as a young democratic countries to become more mature in the future. That's probably what, based on my observation. Okay, that's all from me. From Hilal. Now I think I want to open for more Q&A from participant to ask me a question. So I pass back to you, Prof. Hilal. Are you there?
Thank you, Prof. Aziz.
Yeah.
Well, now we open to audience to if you have any question, any issues, or any ideas to share in this session. Anybody? So, Prof. Aziz,
Yeah.
what I see in the last previous election, 2018, Malaysian nation lost, particularly because of issue 1MDB. And that the opposition, the PH, succeeded in rallying Malaysian to say that the administration of BN was corrupt and should be replaced by a new political party, and that they won. I think they used the sentiment of 1MDB integrity issue to win the election. But this incoming GE15, I think they still use the same issue, because as we see, many leaders from UMNO particularly involved in integrity issue, and the issue of 1ADB is still hot. Many issues to come like LCS, showing the problem of honesty, i.e. dishonesty lah, or issue of integrity of BN. So what do you think? Is this issue will still become relevant and decisive in the incoming general election?
Okay, I think issue of integrity will be taken up by all parties. It's clear. And like I mentioned to you, through my research as well, I can see that issue of rasuah, graft, corruption, everything actually a dominant issue. But based on what also the finding that I got, actually this issue very prominent in the urban area. People in the urban area will vote based on this issue. But people from suburban and also rural, they actually probably not seeing this issue as the most important. They see other aspects. For example, like the performance of political party, service political party provide to them, and interestingly, when I also look on, for example, UMNO, I look in the context of all parties, the personalities and also parties. When most of the party actually the element of personality is supersede the parties, particularly PKR, for example. Of course, Anwar Ibrahim is big figure, pejuang, everything. But when come no, actually parties is more acceptable, more supersede actually personalities. Meaning that people actually look the performance and the service that parties provide to them as the indicator for them to vote in the election. So they vote for political party. So that also makes very interesting to observe. But of course, now I think that's why last time also I give my opinion saying that now it's not probably the good time for have to have elections, because of issue CS and Najib case also just completed, and there's still also another court cases go on. So that also will be used by other political party like the AP, the PH, PN, Political National, GDA, to attack Barisan Nasional, for example. So of course, I think integrity will be massive issues, but the one who take up this issue to decide for them in Malaysia actually mostly from the urban area, but not really a rural. We still rely on the service like I mentioned to you just now. So political party actually, in order for them to win, they have to show their service to the community. If not, then community will not accept them or vote for them. So that I think the strength of Barisan Nasional is there. So their service is continuous, even though they are in position, but they still continues to give a service that people, accept their service as important for them, and the determinant factor for them to vote in the election. Hope I answer your question, Prailal. I think there's a question in the chat.
Any more question?
Just now I see there's a one question, I think. Okay, can you name 5 Malaysian future political leader to be monitor? Okay, 5 future political leader to be monitor. One, I think KJ, Heri Jamaluddin, Second, I think Rafizi. You need to focus on Rafizi. Third, I think probably who else? Ashraf Ajdi. So you need to give focus. Mukris Made. Mukris Made, I think also now a president of Parti Berjuang, so you need to give attention to him. Even though a bit senior, but you need to give a focus. The fifth, who else? Anthony Locke. Anthony Locke is likable, not only by Chinese but also by Malay. So that's also very interesting future leaders that we need to give a significant focus to this young leader. Okay, Sabah Sarawak position in national politics actually post general election. Okay, Sarawak. Okay, Sarawak is very interesting. Both is very interesting actually. But Sarawak for me is very interesting because if you study the pattern of voting of Sarawakian, when come to state election, the Sarawakian will vote for local party. Meaning that now what? GPS gabungan parti Sarawak. But when come to parliamentary election, they will vote for opposition, pembangkang, more than the local party. So that's also very interesting because I think probably there's an arrangement that they play around in order to have more say, critical say in the parliament for them, because they don't want party just only supporting the agenda of government, federal government all the time. They want to have a decent in the parliament. So I think that's a very interesting arrangement. But only thing is what we can say, the next combination, GPS is very strong. But at the same time, so they're also infighting, particularly from the group, Iban, Dayak group, who sometimes not really satisfied with the current government's arrangement to please their ethnic group, something like that. So that's I think Abang Joe, the chief minister tried to to overcome. But Sarawak is very interesting to observe, because the pattern is a bit different to the others. Not really different because in Kedah also you can see the pattern almost similar. When come to state election, the state assembly pass one, but in federal UMNO one, Barisan Nasional one. So there's also the kind of arrangement also happen in Kedah. Okay, Sabah a bit the vision is even greater. We have GRS, we have BN, we have Warisan, and so on. And the pattern of voting also based on ethnic group. If one ethnic group supporting one particular party, then that particular party will win. Last time we can see that Kadazan Dusun favoring Barisan Nasional. Some Malay group, Malay, like apa ni, ethnic group, in, I think there's what, there's several other ethnic group, supporting Warisan and several also supporting the Barisan Nasional. But Chinese favor more to Warisan and also Pakatan Harapan during that period in the last apa ni, state election. So that's why in Sabah I think difficult to see how the vote will be able to which political party. But if you look on the ethnic group, is there, I think probably from there you can make a calculation which party we can secure how many seats in the in Sabah. So I don't have that number, but I think it's something that need to be observed. I think very interesting, so need to be observed in Sabah because there's no one clear party that dominate politics in Sabah right now. Okay. So
Any more question?
there's a one question I think. They have any significant changes of support tendency of Chinese and Malay voters after GG15? Especially after Malaysia had 3 prime ministers, some new thinking of support base or still the same? Okay, when talk about support base or hardcore supporters, almost the same. The only difference is that we have new voters, about 5.8 million new voters. And out of 5.8 million new voters, there's about 1.4 million actually only 18 voters from age 18 to 21. So for undi 18, about 1.4 something roughly like that. They, I think, I suspect half of them will turn out in voting. But for those who the rest, another 4.4 million. If I think we are lucky if we got half, because these people actually being registered as a through automatic registration. So definitely they never turn up in election. So definitely they won't turn up again in election. So that's why in we come turn out in election, I think by come January GE15 is going to be low. Okay, last election we have about 85, 86% of turnout. But I suspect, I can predict that we're going to have a lower turnout. And don't be surprised if the turnout is going to be about just 50% plus. Because of these people, automatic voters that never turn up in election, then definitely will not turn up in the next election. So that's I think very interesting. But in terms of Chinese, so far, I think they're still favoring Pakatan Harapan. Through the sentiment, through the argument, debates that they have, they're still supporting Pakatan Harapan. But for Malay, now divided into so many parties. But like I mentioned to you, UMNO managed to secure the most, about 20%, roughly 20%. So, but there's still several quite a significant number of Malay voter which is undecided yet, and that can change as well. So that makes very interesting to observe who the Malay will vote. But now I think still with UMNO, Barisan Nasional. But the more Malay political party contested in the election, the more it will be divide the vote of the Malay. That will happen. So that's I think very interesting. I cannot say who going to dominate the Malay vote. So far we can say UMNO, but when come to election it can change. It apa change it can change because of the fence sitter will decide. Probably the young voter will decide to vote which political party. Okay. See, there's a question here. The role of new party after the fall of Pakatan Harapan government such as PBM Zuraida, Parti Bangsa Malaysia Zuraida, GTA and Muda. Okay, Muda. Okay, I talk about PBM dulu. Parti PBM I think depends. If they be accepted under Barisan Nasional, probably they have some support in terms of missionaries and probably can win seats. But if they stay alone, is a goodbye for them. They cannot do anything because people going to support coalition party. It's not single party. So that I think is the reality that we see today. Okay, GTA. Their strength is now is based on personality because there are Tun Mahathir there, Mukesh there, several other people who are prominent in the community. So these people can win vote and also can win in election as well. So don't disregard GTA because I think they can push a surprise in the general election, as well as Muda as well. Muda, I think, but now they are planning to join Pakatan Harapan. So Pakatan Harapan now planning to secure some secure number of young voters. And Muda also know if they stay with Pakatan Harapan, they can have a seat. If they contest alone, also goodbye to them. So that's why they need to be with Pakatan Harapan. Because the only thing is Pakatan Harapan bit suspicious to Muda because they want to secure a young voter, Muda also want to secure a young voter. So they clash together. So unless they can have compromise to share seats, then I think probably they can be part together. So that's the reality of Muda. Muda need to join any coalition. If they stay alone, then gone. So that's I think the reality of the new political party. Okay, I think also just now I can see also there's another questions. Wrong question. Okay.
Question from Abu Bakar Umar Haji.
This is quite interesting talk
This is quite interesting talk as the presenter argued most political parties in developed democracies like UK are guided by ideology and people vote based on party ideology during election. However, in most developing democracies, people tend to vote not by party ideology but primordial interests like affection to region, ethnicity or section or region. Is that also applicable to Malaysian politics? Thank you.
Yes, definitely applicable to Malaysian context. That's why the makeup of the party system also not based on ideology. Malaysia, actually based on any group.
I think in UK also religion and ethnicity play a dominant role. Like election within, I think between the last the new prime minister, the Indian and also the Anglo-Saxon candidates.
And there's a sentiment of ethnicity of there, as well. But
Still and a big element
um,
ethnicity and religion.
no, I think when it comes to UK, the ideology more prominent. Even any group, if they want to become part of the system, the leaders, for example, they also have to embrace certain ideology first. Then they rethink about okay what the strategy, whether can allow somebody to become prime minister or not from different ethnic groups. In fact, if you argue about Boris Johnson also have certain lineage, Turkish lineage in his blood, even though he's white and so on. But if you look on what prominent, what more dominant in the society, actually more ideology. Similarly, in the case of US as well. But US now led by Joe Biden, he's more neoliberal, but there's also certain left group in the party. People like Bernard Sanders, Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders and several other. Actually, they are more socialist rather than neoliberal. But Republican is very conservative. Their approach. So but Malaysia, even though we also subscribe to that kind of ideology, but not really dominant in the society or even in the political party. But we are more pragmatic. That's why our policy many policy of pragmatic. For example, like even we look on our institution, our corporate sector, for example, our GLC, for example, run as a neoliberal institution, but the institution itself actually very state-centric or socialist approach that we implement because there's the ownership of the government in that institution like Petronas, for example, Petronas actually owned by the government, which is government should not get into business. If you look on that context, so we are very pragmatic in that aspect. So that's why I think we are interesting. So that's why also primordial aspect that mentioned by Abu Bakar just now, prominent. For example, we still look on Malay issues, uh, religion. Okay, one thing I think I already mentioned earlier. I've been argue with several UMNO leaders. I said to them, in order for you to become strong again, you have to tune down, meaning that you have to shift a little bit your approach rather than far right kind of approach to a center, because you used to be a strong political party in Malaysia when you are in center. When you shift to right, then that this I'm talking about Barisan Nasional. I'm not. I'm talking about Barisan Nasional. When you shift to right, and even MCA suddenly want to replicate the AP, even MIC also want to replicate the AP, that makes them unpopular a bit for those who are, independent. They don't want to see issue, infighting between race, hate speech, for example, between people. So they want to see a more central, institution. So that's why I think when come to Najib, actually Najib shift a little bit to a right, which also contribute a little bit to the loss in 2018 general election. So Barisan also need to shift back to center in order to attract more, non-Malay, for example. That's why MCA suffer today, MCA suffer, because not many people, Indian, Chinese, want to support them because they see Barisan go slightly right. So if you shift center, then I think more and more people, even Sabah Sarawak, also keen to support them. So that's, I think, the reality of Malaysian politics. Element of primordial is still prominent. For example, like if they want to go to the extreme, also they can, but they still can win seat, also win vote, but probably not enough for them to win in the national level, win the election. Okay, any other questions?
So, Prof, I think this incoming GE15 will be as hot as GE14.
We say that the last election is the mother of election. So the next generation is going to be the father of election.
Father, mother, and father.
Father of election.
Father.
Because we, like I mentioned to you, we need to expect the unexpected. So there is the situation of politics that we see today, probably also we're going to see in the future as well. And like today, the one who supporting the government not to call for election actually the opposition. That's very interesting. Because previously the opposition always won the election because they know they can have opportunity to be in the government. But now they're the one who's supporting the government not to call for the election. So meaning that the arrangement is also very, I won't say weird, but very interesting to observe. So in the next election, I kind of agree with what the Prime Minister said. Don't be surprised it's going to be hung parliament, because that also can happen. It happened before in Kedah, hung state assembly. But don't be surprised because it's happened also in many countries, in Australia, in New Zealand, you know what happened when it happened in New Zealand, they changed the system fully. Yeah, electoral system, they changed. Yeah. In UK happened, I think in 2010, 11, something like that. Yeah? When they have election. But that situation can happen in democracy like we have today, when there's no clear ideology, you know, behind all political parties. So you rely on the policy and the sentiment to let people to vote for you, not really the ideology.
Any more question? Any more ideas to share from the audience participant? I think, in my opinion, Prof,
Yeah.
integrity play a decisive role and dominant role in Malaysian politics, because it will affect the influence and the possibility to win the election. Integrity.
Yes, I think I agree. Like I mentioned earlier, among us, we think that integrity is important. Okay, probably one thing that I also want to mention here, issue of surprisingly, based on my study as well, issue of environment become also prominent. I think probably because of issue of blood, issue of I don't know, deforestation, whatever, makes people also think issue of environment become important.
Yeah, there's one also emanates from integrity also, decision making process of the authority, whether they had succeeded in proving that the decision making process and the decision itself was acceptable and just. Because of lack of integrity, they made wrong decision. So it is based on integrity as well.
But I think but that's why I mentioned all political party will put in their manifesto the issue of integrity, meaning that they're going to fight for integrity. Whether you accept or not is up to you. For example, in the case of Johor state election, Malaysia mentioned actually they want to have anti-hopping law to be established. They also say that all state assembly need to declare their assets, something like that. No? So meaning that they also will fight for issue of security. Even though now some people, particularly urban, condemn them because of what happened to Dato' Sri Najib or cases that going on right now. But in reality, they also will fight for this issue, and also other other political party. So it's up to us to see whether they are genuine or not. It's up to them. But in reality, people will still can accept because they can see Barisan Nasional performance. Okay, the advantage of Barisan Nasional because they be in government for so long, so there's a track record about their performance. Unlike other party, Pakatan Harapan very short, 22 months. And Perikatan Nasional, basically they also, I know, some of them also previously in Barisan Nasional, so they also have track record. So people who want to see stable government right now, they argue they want to see Barisan Nasional back in power. But there's a caveat, there's a issue that I think Barisan Nasional need to tackle to counter in order for them to win. But still, I think, for example, Pakatan Harapan, we always fight for reform. They say that 22 months in power is not enough for them to reform. Part of the reform that they want to do is also issue like tackling the issue of corruption, something issue of integrity. Also, they're going to bring in their manifesto. So meaning that all party will later on will argue on the same issue, up to the people to decide which one to trust. Because the trust of people will let political party to win, because they will vote for that political party to win the election. So yeah, for you probably yes, also for me yes. But other people probably see other things more important. For those who are very religious, probably they want to see religion play important role. to win the election. So we have what 20 what 20 I can't remember 20 plus million people voters. So there are so many ideas among them as well. If they all turn up, you can see a diversity in terms of voting in the election. Okay. Any
Okay.
other question?
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for your explanation and sharing of your ideas and knowledge on the topic given. So on behalf of UM Kugis, I would like to say a big thanks to Professor Azizuddin and also to all the participants in this session. I think for me, I think the future is not clear. For me, personally, I think because of the many elements that may affect the result of the votes and the election. The future is unclear, particularly on the issue of integrity. It affect substantially the trust and the belief in the government. Mm. So, as a lesson, the political party must emphasize and also must uphold integrity, and so that the trust of the people will keep intact and they can have the power. So that this is my personal opinion. It's my personal. Thank you again. Before we end the session, I would like to request all the participants to on your video as I want to take a picture. Yeah. Please open your video. Sure. Okay, thank you. With that, we end the session with recitation of Tasbih Kafarah and Suratul Wal-Asr. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Prof. Aziz.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.